Okay, Zatima fans, we're talking season 3, episode 7, entitled "Losing It." This definitely was a setup episode for the explosive follow up, which was episode 8. A good amount of repetitive dialogue, but this is leading up to something bigger. I'm giving this a 6 out of 10. This wasn't a horrible episode. Look, it is a companion piece to episode 8, but that does not mean that because episode 8 was a huge blowout, that makes this episode good. I'm just saying. I mean, Angela did annoy me in this episode during the Bryce scene, but overall, this episode was kind of meh. It wasn't bad. It was a setup. So make sure you like and subscribe because, well, I appreciate it, and it helps the channel grow. Trying to hit 300,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and you can help do that if you are a frequent viewer, but you haven't committed by just hitting that one button. So Zach confronts Fatima, and she's still lying. I think that at this point, my favorite part of this episode was when Nate was like, "Hey, Fatima, I told him the facts. You need to tell him the truth." That was a bar. I like that. It's like, well, you need to get the facts straight. Well, fine then, tell me the facts. And I'm like, yeah, checkmate, Fatima. So, I mean, she basically says, oh, he didn't push me. We got to wrestling over my purse for some money, and then I fell. And it's just like, come on now. And then she won't say when it happened. Nate says a few days ago, but hasn't it only been like 2 days? If that. I know the night that it happened, they met up at the house, and then the next day, the check. Wait, hasn't it only been like a day? I don't know. It feels like it's only been like no more than 36 hours. Huh. But in any case, Zach flies off and he leaves to go look for his brother. Tony rushes after him. Nate defends his decision, but then he eventually says sorry, but I disagree. I think Nate did the right thing. Connie decides to go with Fatima to find Zach, and Belinda supports Nate's decision, being messy as heck, but she's defending it. And then Nate wants to do something which leads to something very stupid. They basically are there, and Jeremiah comes up not long after everybody else leaves, and they tell him to hide from his brother, but Jeremiah doesn't want to hear it. You can just tell this dude is high at the moment. But then Nate decides that you come with us, you're going to be at Belinda's house. And Belinda rightfully speaks up because, Nate, this is not your house. 2, this is not a hideout for a crackhead. Oh yeah, that's a running gag between this episode and next episode about whether or not, hey, he's a crackhead. No, he's an addict. And I'm like, same difference. But yeah, I don't think this was a good idea for multiple reasons. Like, bro, you're couch surfing between Tony and Belinda's houses because you're still in a rut with your wife. Why don't you take him over to your wife's? Oh yeah, you don't want to do that. But you can say, hey, you can come hide out in my house. That makes no dang sense. So I really feel like Nate was out of pocket for that suggestion. I mean, it's bad enough. I mean, maybe Fatima's words are the main reasons he opted to do this because I don't know. It just doesn't seem like he did the right thing here. But in any case, we go over to a brief scene. This is something that ties into episode 8 as well, which definitely seems fillerish. But Preston's waiting outside of Zach's place, so whenever he comes back, he can sign the contracts. Deja comes out with a drink, and kind of in a rinse and repeat of last week's episode, you have Preston calling out Deja for being way too aggressive, and definitely feels it's a facade that the way you talk, the way you act, the way you overly sexualize everything, it just feels like this isn't you. It's just something you pretend to be in order to get attention. And I think he's right about that because he asked the important question, like, when you're by yourself, do you talk to yourself in the same way that, you do like right now? Good question. But Bryce actually comes up and because Preston isn't really buying her advances, she pretty much, blows up at him and Bryce, move your dang car. I got a party tonight. And it's funny because Preston doesn't want to drink whatever Deja gave him because he doesn't trust it. Like, no, it's like her kindness comes with a price. It isn't her being nice. Nah, it's not just her being nice. There's something she wants. So in any case, Bryce is there, wants to talk with Zach, but that actually is a follow-up to the Angela scene, which I'll get to momentarily. But he and Preston have a brief conversation about like the contracts and whatnot, and Bryce like, oh, I could sign him. He's like, oh no, I just rather sign them together. And he thanks him again for bailing him out with the money, and basically says like, yeah, just don't pull another stunt like the one you did, And he's like, yeah, I won't do anything like that again. But speaking of the Angela Bryce thing, Bryce is cool with them just being friends, which I call BS on that. But yet again, when she tries to bring up the car accident and the reason he crashed into another vehicle, he brushes it off, saying that he doesn't want to talk about it, but it's definitely something that needs to be addressed in the future, because who's to say he won't do something like that again? He knows Zach didn't really want to go to the hospital to see him, which is accurate. And then he goes on to say, yeah, Fatima made him go. No, Fatima doesn't, can't make Zach do anything. And I'm like, that's some BS, Angela, and you know it. But basically, she encourages him to go over to his place and say sorry in person and basically wear him down until he believes it. And I think that is bad advice. I don't know if Angela did this because she thinks it's the right thing for Bryce to do, or if she literally did this in order to get Bryce to leave because her boy toy Sean was coming over. So there we go. Now from there, we go over to Tony on the phone with Fatima, and basically Tony's telling Fatima that Nate can find Jeremiah, but Fatima rightfully doesn't trust Nate. But Fatima and Connie have a conversation. It turns out that Fatima's tracking, Zach's phone, because I believe they share their locations by phone. And Connie reflects on, and this is like the third time this has been a plot point, but Connie mentions how Fatima is good for Zach because, that's a level of trust and whatnot that, no other woman has known Zach to show them before. So basically, again, it's just Connie reflecting on Fatima helping Zach change for the better. But then Fatima's like, yeah, well, there's a lot of growing he still needs to do. And I'm thinking, here we go again. It's always Zach that needs to grow and change. I'm not saying that he's perfect. Lord knows that's not the truth there about Zach's character, that he's perfect. But it's the fact that it's always him that has to grow and change, but not her. And this was a good conversation between a former lover and his current girl. But it's just one of those things like, yeah, what could have been between Karen and Fatima, huh? But at the same time, like, Fatima, who you could tell is starting to like Connie, is like, look, I still got my eye on you. I don't fully trust you. I still blame Connie for this entire ordeal because she was the one that told Jeremiah about the money stuff, and that Fatima was handling it with Zach. So I still blame her. And like I said during week 1 of this season, no matter what Connie says or does to quote unquote try to redeem herself, this is still her fault. Now, this episode review's rather short. I'm not going to sit up here 20 minutes because this was a setup episode. The last thing is that Tony finds Zach and out in the street, and he tries to calm him down, but it's not working. No matter what he says, no matter what he does, he tries to remind Zach that, look, come on now, come on. I know you want to be with your brother for what he did to Fatima, but your brother has a problem, And at this point, you're just going to lose everything. Then Fatima and Connie show up, but, Fatima, yet again, has the chance to either stop Zach or tell the truth, but she opts not to. And he turns off the location on his phone and then leaves. That's pretty much it. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. At the beginning of the episode, she didn't mention the wrestling. At the end of the episode, she did. And then Zach, points out, that's why you've been wearing all that makeup. You got a bruise? Like, no, Zach, not here. Let's go home. Let's talk about it here. He doesn't want to hear it. So then that's when he removes the location from his phone and then drives off in a rage. And that's pretty much it. So, sorry, Fatima, but you just constantly make this worse. I mean, Zach in that moment should have asked Fatima, like, you got a bruise? How? Where's the bruise? Is that why you hurt? Like, are you okay? That never is brought up. But then again, the dude is not thinking straight. He's just too far gone. So this is an alright episode. It was alright. But of course, everybody wants me to talk about episode 8, which I will. Y'all know I will. It's a separate video. You gotta wait on it. I think these are going up at the same time though. So like and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Things are going crazy, man. This is crazy.